بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. باسمي ونيابة عن التجمع اليمني الأمريكي للتغيير ومنظمة يماني المهجر والجالية اليمنية الأمريكية نرحب بكم جميعا إلى هذا الحفل اليوم وإلى عرض الفيلم الوثائقي ليس للكرامة جدران. أيضا لدينا اليوم وبيننا ضيفين، ثلاثة ضيوف هم مخرجي الفيلم الوثائقي، الأخت سارة إسحاق والأخ عبد الرحمن حسين وكذلك الأخ أمين الغابري. نرحب بكم جميعا. طبعا هذا الفيلم هو فيلم جمعة الكرامة الذي يعني غير التاريخ اليمني وغير الثورة اليمنية، الذي استشهد فيه حوالي 53 شهيدا في ذلك اليوم، وهؤلاء الشهداء هم الذين وضعوا الأسس الأولى لبناء الدولة اليمنية الحديثة وإن شاء الله تتحقق أهدافها. I would like to start by thanking everyone for being here on behalf of the Yemeni American Community Coalition for Change and Yemeni Al-Mahjar. We would like to welcome you all here today. Today we have a very special guest, Sarah Ishaq, the director of the film Karama Has No Walls, and also alongside with the Karama team, brother Abdul Rahman Hussein, the assistant director, and also brother Amin al-Gharbani. نرحب بهم جميعا ونرحب بالضيوف جميعا. والآن سنبدأ البرنامج اليوم. The program today will be we're going to start the film and then we're going to go to Q&A and then we have a short poem and then we'll go to we'll have a oud today and the name of the song will be Going Back Home. And before we start the film, I would like to take a moment of silence for those who lost their lives and the revolution. And so please show respect and take a moment and stand up and Fatiha ila arwah ash-shuhada. شكرا جزيلا. شكرا
الألفاظ الجانب ليس للسوء يخلون يمنعون في الدنيا بألفاظ رديئة. أنا شعرت بالخوف، قلت الله استدعاني ما أحسن شكرا ولا شيء. الشباب ما هم مشهورين. Q&A session, فقرة الأسئلة.
ممكن الأطفال الذي في الخلف يعني أصواتهم شوية. الآن ندعو الأخوة الضيوف. نبدأ بسارة إسحاق مخرجة الفيلم. والأخ أمين الغابري مدير التصوير، وكذلك الأخ عبد الرحمن حسين المساعد المخرج.
I'll speak in English. If anyone needs translation, I'll translate. The film came about in 2011, as you all know, after Jumat al-Karama in 2011. The three of us didn't know each other at that point in 2011, but we met shortly afterwards, just a few days or almost a week after. And we all experienced Jumat al-Karama differently. From my perspective, I'd been in the square and I was, I'd been in the square a lot filming. I knew people in the field hospital. I'd experienced the positive side of the atmosphere in the Yemeni revolution in the square. And I was there on the Thursday, the night before this happened. I saw the wall, I spoke to the people, the doctors, and I knew some of the cameramen also, although not the ones who were in the film. These guys also had their own experiences, they can talk about it. But basically, when this happened, of course, we saw how it had a huge impact on people on a very personal level, but also the knock-on effect that it had in terms, on a political level and the revolution. But what mattered to us most was that people weren't really aware of what was going on and what happened on the day. Even the people that were in the square weren't sure what happened, and there were a lot of allegations as to who actually committed the massacre. People were saying that it was the people who were living around the area in the neighborhood. People were saying that it was, they came up with all of these rumors, and nobody really knew what happened for sure. And of course, because we were there, and then later we found some of this footage, we felt responsible because we had the means, we had cameras, we had a way to maybe get the message out that we could show what really happened on the day, and in a very clear, sort of transparent. In a very clear, transparent way, from the perspective of these cameramen. And also, what also mattered was that we didn't want it to become another news piece. We were used to these things, and seeing these on, these kinds of videos on Al Jazeera TV, for example. Where you see people being killed, we see shooting, and we desensitize, we detach from these things, and we don't think of them in human terms anymore. We kind of look at them as images, mere images that we're so tired of seeing because we feel enabled. We feel disabled at that point to do anything to help. So what the intention was to make this human again, and to try and give voices to the people who were really directly affected by what happened, by telling their stories on a very basic and human level, how they experienced the loss, how they experienced the pain, and remind ourselves again that it's not about who was on whose side, what happened, and what political background did we have, or what was the politics of it. It doesn't matter. What happened in the end is that people who weren't armed were killed in cold blood, and this was covered up. So this was what really drove us to make this film and really show it from the perspective and the eyes of the people who were behind the scenes and the people who put themselves in harm's way and risked their lives in the face of these bullets, as you saw in many of the images with bare chests. To stand up for their rights and for dignity and for social justice and for all of these things that they really believed in when they actually initially went out to the square to demonstrate. So that was the reason we made the film.
Thank you. They can tell you as well, again,
talk about why you felt the
السلام عليكم. أمير غابري مصور ومخرج التصوير. في البداية أنا من الأشخاص اللي كنت أتردد بكثرة على ساحة التغيير. كنا نحضرها كفنانين، فأنا كنت مصور فاشن، مصور الأزياء ومصور مناظر طبيعية. بس كنت أتقابل أنا وأصحاب المصورين والفنانين وأصحاب الشركات الإعلانية وأصحاب الشركات الإنتاج. كنا نروح ميدان التغيير على أساس إنه كنا نشوف التنوع الموجود في ساحة التغيير مثلا كنا نحصل مثلا القبائل، أصحاب الشركات، الفنانين. كنا نحس إنه في شيء مشترك بيننا، إنه يعني نحلم بيمن جديد. هذا اللي بيخلينا إن إحنا بنروح يعني تواصل وبنفلت أعمالنا وبنفلت شركاتنا على أساس نحضر في ميدان التغيير، لأن إحنا بنشارك مع بعض في نفس الحلم. طبعاً كنت أنا هناك لعدة أسابيع لحد يوم جمعة الكرامة. كان يوم طبيعي زي أي جمعة ثانية. كنت في الخيمة أنا وعدة مصورين، منهم كان في وائل الأنسي والزنداني وهذا. كانت في مجموعة من الفنانين هناك. كنت أحسب إنه نفس أي جمعة ثانية نمنا فيها هناك. لحد ما دعاني واحد من المصورين قال لي نخرج نصور. قلت له يعني بتكون نفس الأصور التي صورناها في الجمعة اللي قبلها والجمعة اللي قبلها. في انتهت الخطبة الأولى لحد الخطبة الثانية قلت ضروري أخرج من الخيمة بدل ما أصلي في الخيمة وأصلي خارج. فخرجنا. في البداية كان يوم اعتيادي طبيعي عادي لحد ما شفنا النار. طبعا كنا بنصور في نصر وخالد، كل واحد موزع في جهة. يعني كانت الصدف انه كل واحد كان بيصور من مكانه. تم تغطية جمعة الكرامة بشكل كامل على ما أظن من عدة جوانب، كان بدون تخطيط، بس كان عمل عفوي، كل واحد بيقدم من عنده. لحد ما شفنا الدخان في جمعة الكرامة، كان يوم اختلف تماما. بدل ما كان يوم عادي اختلف إلى يوم دموي بشكل غير متوقع. حتى في الفيلم في كثير من المشاهد اللي تم تصويرها يعني ما قدرناش ننزلها لأنه من شناعتها. يعني حتى واحنا بنشوفها يعني مثلا في المستشفى الميداني لما كنت أصور، كنا نصور احنا وجميع مراسلين القنوات الإخبارية، كلنا بنصور واحنا بنبكي. يعني بنبصر دحين مثلا معظم الجرحى كنت اشوفهم في ساحة التغيير، وهذا احس انهم اخواني. يعني لما صدمة، لانه يوم طبيعي تشوف فجأة ناس خلاص رؤوس متفجرة، ناس يعني جروح مش طبيعية، تبصرهم كانوا اخوانك. يعني كل المراسلين وهذا اليمنيين المصورين ما هم متعودين ابدا يشوفوا مشاهد زي هكذا. في البدايه كان كلهم يبكوا. بعدها ب10 دقائق احس ان كل واحد خلاص ضروري نحط مشاعرنا الانسانيه على جنب ونركز في تغطيه هذا اليوم. الحمد لله يعني تم تغطيه وتوثيق معظم الاشياء في جمعة الكرامة، والحمد لله بعدين وريت عبد الرحمن الفوتجز اللي صورتها. قلنا ليش ما نعمل شيء مثلا عن الفيلم؟ قال لي كمان اعرف صالح. هذه كانت الصدفة التي جمعتنا مع بعض وخلتنا ان احنا نشتغل هذا الفيلم.
I can ask the first question. Maybe both of you can, all of you can answer. Is making it from the Tahrir Square all the way to the international stage. How do you feel about that? And what do you think? What kind of messages you carry into the international community? Anyone? I think after that.
My name is Abdurrahman Hussein. First of all, when we started this film, just I think for my point of view, I felt that I can do more with the camera, and you know, I felt that that's my language. I can take a camera and I tell a story, and maybe that story can affect people. And we were doing that actually, just trying to get these messages to the world, the stories to the world. We didn't focus much on the political side. We just focused on the human stories. We didn't plan it. We just took our camera and went to the square and started filming and started knowing people, knowing the stories. And then we felt how important this story is, how we felt that it's our duty to get it outside of Yemen. It's our duty to let everyone in the world what happened that day. Because we have a lot of things happening in Yemen, but no one is hearing about it. No one is like, only the bad news gets all over the world, but stories like this never gets out of Yemen. So it was like an obligation and duty and promise that, you know, we will deliver this message. Before the Oscars, the film was nominated and won a lot of awards, and that's when I felt like really we people are responding to this message, to this humanitarian message, and you know, getting nominated by the Oscars was like, it's maybe we're almost there where this message will be delivered around the world, and millions of people, hopefully millions of people, will see the message and will see the film.
Thank you.
I just want to also, just to add to this, the whole nomination really, you know, thinking or imagining that we would reach the level of you know, the Oscars was something that was so far-fetched. It never crossed our minds ever. We also joked about this when we were working together in coffee shops, you know, saying, look at how we're struggling right now, and maybe one day, you know, we'll be at the Oscars, haha. You know, we try to encourage ourselves and push ourselves by giving ourselves that little bit of motivation. But we knew at that point when we were making those jokes that a film from Yemen, you know, that's about, you know, human rights, and it's a short documentary, and all of the, you know, it didn't fit the criteria, and it was so far, you know, far removed from reality that we had to joke about it, and that was it. But when we got the nomination, people often ask, how do you feel? Like, how does this make you feel? You must be really proud of yourselves. You must feel really, it's not that easy. It's a very complicated emotion that comes with this. There's a mixture of guilt, a sense of responsibility, because with this film, you know, if 53 people hadn't died, if people hadn't been massacred, then we wouldn't have made a film that got to the Oscars. So we have to remind ourselves all the time that this isn't about, you know, an achievement, a personal achievement, an artistic achievement. Those things are true. These do help us on personal levels, and for Yemen culturally it might encourage people. But in the end, we have to keep reminding ourselves that this was a cause, it's a major thing that happened to Yemen. And it's not about superficial, you know, representation of the Oscar. It's something much deeper. And I hope that resonates as well with other people who kind of who forget. You know, I think if this can somehow, if the message is enshrined through the Oscar nomination, because it has made history in Yemen, it's not so much about what it has done for the film, but more what it has done for the memory of those people in the film.
Two questions and then
Okay. First of all, Dr. Fadil and Josh, first of all, we're proud of you, regardless if you win or not, but you present our country in a good fashion. My question is, do you have a plan about what the next step? Do you have anything in the pipeline? Are you going to continue to produce anything about the Yemen in the future?
I think all of us are either working on other films or we have worked on other films. I'll let the guys talk about their own projects as well. The culture, how difficult it was for me to deal with my family trying to go to the square to film, and they were, you know, initially they said no, and then, you know, after quite a struggle, they allowed me to go to the square. So these, you know, just looking at it from a very social point of view, but trying to represent Yemen in a very positive manner. That it's not I'm not oppressed as a woman. I'm not, you know, بالعكس يعني there's a lot of positivity that is there in the household. I also worked on a few other projects and now working on a fiction film also about Yemen. So I've got a few projects. I think this has really helped motivate us as well, knowing that we worked with no money, we worked with very minimal equipment, we didn't have support and funding, and yet we managed to get this far. So it's not just encouraging for us to continue, it's encouraging for other filmmakers in Yemen who want to continue, who want to make things.
لا سبق وانا وعبد الرحمن اشتغلنا فيلم اللي هو filmmakers وفاز بالجائزه الاولى في مهرجان زوم للافلام الوثائقيه في الافلام القصيره والان كل واحد مع مشروع خاص فيه. انا وخيز اليوم نشتغل في مشروع Yemeni Identity وفي معنا الان مخطط الفيلم درامي على اليمن برضه بنتكلم عليه في اوروبا ان شاء الله.
آخر سؤال هناك مع إبراهيم.
I didn't like much documentary filmmaking. And then after, as I remember Sarah telling me that after this film, I'm going to be much involved in documentary a lot, and that's what happened. I've been doing a lot of work for TV channels, NGOs, documentary about Yemen, and also most of it volunteering with a group called Support Yemen. Now I'm planning a fiction film that it's a project that I really like because I've been trying to produce it for a long time, and maybe this is the push that I needed to bring it out.
Thank you guys very much. I think it's a wonderful event, and because it's in the remembrance of the revolution, and we've seen people lost their lives for probably all Yemenis to move Yemen from place to another. Your films carried a lot of evidences, and it might be used in the future, judgment and rights for those who dies, and also will be used as a proof how Yemen is being liberated, let's say, per se, from the past regime to inshallah in the future and how it's going to look. So how you guys feel about you as carrying a message which is proving evidence that will carry the rights and take these people who killed the innocent, peaceful protesters, brought them to justice. How you guys feel about this message? Would like to.
That's a good question.
Thanks. Message to carry because at the first moment we met Abu Anwar and Salim, we felt how big is this responsibility is. It's something that made us not sleep at all when we were working on this project. All of those people died. Like I used to wonder while I was just going through the footages that why those people died and why it's not me, and what made a lot of question about what they did for us. They died for all of us, for all of Yemen. And doing a documentary is it's doing a history. Like when we interview a person on the documentary, we're making sure that he will be there for the next generation and next generation. That they will watch this film and maybe do something about it. And it's also a reminder for us now, after we're 2-3 years of the revolution, that people starting to shift away from something very important and trying to forget about what happened. But I think this is a reminder for all of us.
One thing also that we wanted to be clear about was that we weren't doing an investigative film because we're not lawyers, we're not investigative journalists, we're not qualified. We're qualified as artists and as, in a way, as filmmakers who had access to footage that was in some way acted as testimonies and as evidence, but we're not in a position. So we had been asked this question a lot, you know, so what are you going to do next? How are you going to get these people tried? We didn't even talk about who the culprits were, who the attackers were, because we're not authorized and we don't have any answers. And I don't know if we will have answers anywhere in the future. We have helped, this film helped the Human Rights Watch with their report. It helped the Human Rights, the Ministry of Human Rights in Yemen has also taken the film now. So they're going to use this as well as part of their, you know, as part of the evidence as well that they have against the former regime, and also the people that they have in custody, if they still have them in custody. So we didn't want to make it a political thing, and we didn't want it to make it a legal thing. We wanted to stick to the human side, so that people. That's why, you know, when we were in Yemen last week, we got the Human Rights Minister to come. We got people to come so they can watch it and then take responsibility. So hopefully this is what will continue to happen.
One more question. Any questions from the sisters in the back if they'd like to say anything? That's basically it.
لازم يكون في حدث زي الثورة، حدث كبير لكي يجذب انتباه المصورين.
اليمن مليئة بالقصص التي ممكن يعني انها تتصور بالاماكن الخام، تصوير افلام سينمائية، افلام وثائقية يصورها. مثلا كان مثلا اخترنا على الفنانين والمصورين والمخرجين في تعز انه ما عملوش فيلم عن مثلا محرقة تعز. يعني كانت فكرة يعني وموضوع مهم جدا انه نعمل فيه فيلم وثائقي، يعني مصاحب للفيلم كرامة حزم وولز. المفروض كانت تخرج افلام زي هكذا في عدة محافظات. بس الثورة أخرجت لنا كثير من المصورين والمخرجين والفنانين. يعني أنا أعتبر هذا ثورة فنية أكثر ما هي ثورة يعني لو تشوف عدد المصورين والفنانين الذي خرجوا بعد الثورة كبير جدا، وإن شاء الله الأيام الجاية يعني مبشرة بأفلام ومواد يعني مصورين وأفلام وثائقية جديدة وكواليتي عالية إن شاء الله.
On behalf of the Yemeni American Community, we're actually honored to have Sada and Amin and Abdurrahman among us today. And we want to thank them and let them know that we really appreciate what they did for the Yemenis and to show the struggle of the Yemenis throughout the whole revolution, and also in particular the للكرامة, the day that made change in Yemen, the day that knocked down the Salih's regime and put an end to the dictatorship. We want to thank you. You worked with no resources and you made a film that no one did in Yemen, a film like none others, a film that was an eyewitness account film. And the square, between the bullets, and you know you could have died at any moment, and you know that you could have been attacked by the regime itself, yet you made it, just showing us the bravery of the youth in Yemen and making it to the international stage. And we wish you a good luck on behalf of the community, and we would like to see you and to win the Oscar and March 2nd. We will be following you as a community, and thank you very much. There's one girl here who would like to give a flowers on our behalf. So now we're going to go to the last segment. We have Oud. The name of the Oud is going to be On the Way Home. العودة إلى الوطن.
Also, I was
we could play that while.
Give me the mic.
I think while they set it up, there's a small poem by Sana al-Yemen, and the name of the poem says Dino Yemen. I think we're going to play it while we set it up for the Urdu. You want the microphone?
Careful.
انتبه
انتبه يا ابراهيم انتبه
Again with the question, what do you know about Yemen? This ain't a poem, this is more of a history lesson. We have rulers dating back as early as Qahtan. Christians pick up the Bible and Muslims the Quran because it's mentioned in both. Hard facts, it's not a mystery. Say what you want, try as you might, you can't erase history. We established the earliest trade ever known to man. Spices of frankincense were sent all over the land. Don't ever look down on us, know where you stand. Why we're always moving through, we are, never understand. Considering all that we've given and the input we've had. Why we've been left behind and forgotten, I'll never understand. What do you know about Yemen? Believe it or not, the birthplace of your own personal heaven. That mocha you purchased from a Starbucks every day is named after a Yemeni city where coffee was first made. Don't talk to me about MEDCs. When we built the first skyscrapers the world's ever seen, we're entirely of Margaret, it's still standing today. The sad thing was that we never knew this is such a shame when you should be ashamed. Don't talk to me about women's oppression and inequality. When the most respected female leader of all time was a born and bred Yemeni. I am the land of the Arabs, the peninsula, the foundation and root of the Middle East. I am the forgotten jewel of Arabia. I am Yemen. What do you know about me?
والآن مع العود وأحمد الشيبة فليتفضل.
بس ويت
والمسمى مقطوعة في طريق العودة إلى الوطن، وهي تصف مشاعري عندما تخيلت أني في طريق العودة إلى الوطن.
Okay, somebody's gonna say, hold on.
شكرا أحمد وشكرا للحضور جميعا. نود أن نقول لكم إنه الإيفنت حق اليوم حصل. We pulled it together within 48 hours, so we didn't have enough time to do it well. But we wanted to honor our Yemeni colleagues from Yemen. إبراهيم عندي بدون closing.
في الأوسكار 2014 فموفقين إن شاء الله وأنتم جند من مكانكم، فتحية لكم تحية كبيرة وأيضا شكرا للحضور ونشكر مركز الشباب الإسلامي ونشكر الأخت فاطمة وأيضا الأخ هشام المدير الجديد للمركز على إتاحة هذه الفرصة في وقت قصير جدا، فشكرا لك. و at the end I will say thank you very much for attending and we appreciate your coming for this event. We hope to see you again and again in the future events. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ابراهيم اطلع لفوق شوي.